welcome to my channel Wine and Dine. My name is Dominique and today I'll be cooking for you my 6-hour pot roast. Now, I know what you're thinking, 6 hours is a long time, no one wants to be in the kitchen that long. The good thing is that you won't be. There's about 45 minutes of prep time and then it's basically set it and forget it. You'll have to occasionally check on the meat, flip it so it doesn't get dried out, and check the bottom to make sure that it's not burning, but it's a one-pot meal and it's super easy and tastes amazing. At the end, you'll have a fall-apart piece of meat, and all the ingredients can be found in your local supermarket if you don't already have them in your pantry. Now, there are 3 cuts of meat that you can use for this recipe. You can use chuck, you can use brisket, and you can use round. Today I'll be using round. That's what I had in my local supermarket. And really, any of them can do. You just want something that's going to be a tough cut of meat that's going to benefit from the long cooking time. So let's stop all the chatting and let's get to cooking. Follow me to my kitchen. Alright, hi, welcome to Wine and Dine, my cooking channel. So today we're cooking pot roast, as I said before. The ingredients that you're gonna need. So you're gonna need some garlic, or you can use garlic powder. I have the garlic powder here because, as you can see, my garlic is almost done. I prefer to get the garlic that's already chopped up. It just makes my life easier. Half an onion. And you're gonna need some black pepper, salt, some onion powder, some rosemary. I prefer fresh, but if you have dried, you can use that. Thyme, bay leaf. This is beef stock, but you can also use chicken or vegetable, or you can even just use water, but I like the flavor that this adds. You're gonna need some tomato paste, some baby potatoes, some wine. Now the type of wine that you get is really, really important. Now here I have some Cabernet. You can use Pinot, you can use Merlot, Bordeaux, anything, Malbec. You just want to make sure that you use a wine that you would also want to drink. You don't want a cooking wine. If you don't want to drink it, you don't want to cook with it. And please make sure that it's dry. You don't want it to be sweet. Here I've got some baby carrots because, once again, they're easier. If you want to buy the big whole carrots, you can do that, and you would just chop it up into pieces, whatever pieces, fits your fancy. I have some whole tomatoes. You could also use diced or what have you. And to start the show, oh no, there's beef juices everywhere. Is it going? Okay. All right, let's try that again. So we have our beef roast. So here I have beef round bottom roast. There are a few other cuts that you can use, as I went over in the beginning of the video. This is almost 3 pounds. This is good for about 2 to 3 people. If you don't want leftovers, you could definitely use a bigger roast. Just keep in mind that your cook time might change, which is where the 6 hours comes in. Now, for a roast this size, it might only take about 4 hours or 5 hours. For a roast that's bigger, it might take a little bit longer. All right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna chop up my onions, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, so as I said, we're gonna use half an onion. I went ahead and I took off the front part, leaving the root intact to keep the onion together, and I took off the outside. And we're just gonna cut it in about 1/4 inch pieces. Okay. All right, so I went ahead and I gave our meat just a little quick rinse. I'm gonna go ahead and take some paper towel, just pat it dry. So that our salt and pepper will go ahead and add here. Now, As I said, I'm using sea salt and black pepper for the seasonings here. We do want to salt it and pepper it very liberally so that when you sear it, you're going to get a nice good crust on there and a great color. Alright, so just make sure that you season each side.
I just want to add that I had taken my meat out about 30 minutes, maybe to an hour before we started cooking. You never want to put ice cold meat in the pan. That's going to stop you from getting that nice sear that you wanted and defeat the purpose. And then your meat's going to look gray. That's not what you want. I had the fire on high and added about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You can use any oil that you want. However, I would not suggest using olive oil as the smoke point is low and you might end up burning your oil before you can get a good crust on your meat. I waited until the pot began to smoke slightly, about 2 minutes before adding my meat. So after about 2 minutes, I went ahead and flipped my meat. It was nice and crispy, but I wanted it to be a little bit darker, so I decided to put it back on the side after doing the others. Quick tip, you'll know when your meat is ready to be flipped and has formed a good crust when it releases with ease. If it's sticking when you try to pick it up, just leave it a little bit longer. My dog waiting for any bits to fall to the floor so she can immediately go for them. Okay, so here I went and removed my meat and added my onions, sauteed them until they were translucent, until the brown bits began to come up, and I added my tomato paste and my tomatoes. I added 1.5 tablespoons of garlic, moving it around continuously to make sure that it didn't burn. I added 1.5 tablespoons of tomato paste and 1 can of whole tomatoes. I then added 1 teaspoon of garlic powder and another teaspoon of black pepper and also another teaspoon of onion powder. This is all to taste. You can add as little or as much as you'd like. Now I'm going to add 1 cup of wine, 4 cups of beef stock, and 2 cups of water. Now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of my garlic butter. As I said, you can use regular salted butter or unsalted butter if you'd like. I then added my rosemary and thyme. I added about 6 sprigs of rosemary, which equals to about 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of dried rosemary. I washed off my carrots and added about 1 cup. The lid went on to keep the heat in and help it boil faster. I wanted to bring it up to a boil and then I reduced it to medium-low so that it could simmer and I can add back in my meat. Go ahead and add your meat back in. Make sure that you spoon all the juices in with it. Those are good juices, good flavors. Okay, the meat has been simmering for an hour. I flipped the meat over just so that the other side would not get dried out. Okay, the meat's been going for about 2 hours at this point. I'm just going to flip it over again and move around the bottom to make sure that nothing is burning. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and take out the meat and cut it into 1.5-inch chunks so that all pieces can stay submerged and I don't risk drying out any of the meat. As you can see, the meat is mostly falling apart already. However, it still will be pretty tough if you try to eat it. So I would suggest going for a little bit longer. We're about 5 hours in. My meat is almost ready, so I'm going to go ahead and add my baby potatoes. I'm just going to cut them in half. I'm not going to take off the skin or anything like that. Just cut them in half, give them a quick wash, and throw them on in. As you can see here, the liquid has reduced by quite an amount, and it's also starting to thicken. I'm going to add the baby potatoes in, give that a quick stir. The starch from the potatoes will also help the liquid and the gravy to thicken. So we're in the end stretch here. I just wanted the liquid to reduce just a little bit more before I turned it off and said it was done, because right now it's still a bit watery. I left the pot uncovered for the last 2 hours to expedite the reducing time. Alright, so here's the finished product. Please enjoy. Thank you for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe.